How should farmers combat the grapevine pests that are terrorizing their crops? That's what's up for discussion on this week's edition of Farm Talk, a popular Afghan radio call-in show that deals with agricultural issues. The show, inspired by NPR's Car Talk, is the creation of Masood Farivar, a veteran Afghan journalist who took a most unlikely path to the United States and then made his way back. As a teenager in the late 1980s, he fought with the anti-Soviet resistance, traveling across the border with Pakistan on dangerous missions. It was during this period that he had his first taste of journalism, a trade that would change his life.
The idea was that Afghanistan was a closed war and a very dangerous country to work in as a reporter, so why not train locals who knew the country and who were already there. I've filed the stories on missions that I personally took part in, and at times it wasn't clear whether I was working as a journalist or as a fighter.
With help from friends, he made it to the United States, where he eventually received a scholarship to Harvard. Masood wanted to return after graduating, but Afghanistan had slid into a vicious civil war. Instead, he cut his teeth as a business wire reporter in New York, covering everything from energy markets to the United Nations. 18 years passed. When he finally made it back home after the fall of the Taliban, he knew what he had to do.
I had over a decade of journalism experience at a major American media organization, and I felt that that was one area that I could work in and give something back to my countrymen.
The Afghan media has come a long way since the draconian days of the Taliban regime. Dozens of organizations now compete across every platform. But in a country where 3/4 of people are illiterate and electricity is limited, radio is king. For the past 3 years, Masood has been general manager of Salam Watandar, a nationwide public broadcast service that continues to evolve under his guidance. Apart from breaking news and hits like Farm Talk, programming spans interactive shows on Islam to geography lessons for children. The network has also challenged cultural norms by hiring women reporters like Fatima, who are eager to prove themselves.
I tried several times to leave journalism, and my family told me that it's a dangerous work and dangerous job. Just leave it, and we don't want you work as a journalist. But I tried. I couldn't leave.
Much as he enjoys training a new generation of Afghan journalists, Masood still hits the street to do his own reporting.
We are going to ISAF. Maybe you can find someone with a camera and send them there.
He is always struck by how much Kabul has changed over the years, for better and for worse.
I was here in the late 90s, and Kabul was a ghost town. The population was probably a quarter of what it is today. Very few cars on the streets, very few people. Really kind of a sense of resignation and hopelessness reigned over the city. The population, for one, has quadrupled. There's been a lot more construction and economic activity, but with the way things are going in the rest of the country, a lot of people have really lost hope and optimism about the future. But life goes on, you know.
Foreign forces insist they've turned a corner in the fight against the Taliban. But in a recent interview with Mark Sedwill, NATO's ambassador to Afghanistan, the former rebel-turned-reporter is characteristically skeptical.
Given the diminishing public support, does it really matter to extend the deadline or to focus on 2014?
Well, I think it's worth remembering that although public support has declined, it is still strong.
For Time.com, this is Jason Motlag in Kabul.
Very few Afghans want the Taliban back in government.